Former US President Woodrow Wilson said, "Money is a new form of slavery." My question is, if governments and banks can create money, how much money actually exists? In the past, the total amount of money available depended on how much gold and silver was actually in the banks. More recently, new money is created as debt. For example, for every £1,000 borrowed, the banks need to have only a 9-to-1 ratio of actual cash in the banks. For each loan that is taken out, the borrower, you and I, promises to pay back a monthly amount of cash over a set period of time. This is the actual money that the banks receive every single month. Therefore, debt means real money to the banks. The problem is that the banks became greedy, and you and I, the customers, paid a high price for their greed. At the moment, most of the world is in financial crisis. The government is robbing Peter to pay Paul. Debt is now our new form of slavery. Property statistically has grown at a rate of 11% since 1946. In 2004, the property market in the UK was booming. There was no way that it was going to last. History, as we all know, repeats itself. Do the people at the top learn from their mistakes? It appears not. Developers across the UK, in conjunction with mortgage providers, were all getting rich with the buy-to-let market. Developers were selling the idea of if we give 10 to 15%, the mortgage broker could then apply for the mortgage with no money down for the buyer. This meant that properties bought off-plan could be sold at the predicted rate of inflation at that present time. This is the buy now, pay later philosophy used by the credit card companies. Between August 2006 and May 2008, I bought a property using two things: common sense and my monthly rental payments to my landlord. Why? Because I couldn't get a mortgage from the mortgage providers or the banks. Rent to buy is not new. It is, however, new to the UK. The Americans have been doing it successfully for years. How do we in the UK start to move forwards in this way? Some local authorities have been given funding to take over and manage houses that have been permitted to run into disrepair by absent owners. The problem with this system is that it's many layers deep. The property is taken over from the owner if the cost of repair is below a certain amount of money. It is then renovated to a good livable state and managed by the local authorities, who put in a tenant who is in receipt of housing benefit. The housing benefit pays the cost of the renovation, so in effect the government and the taxpayer, you and me, pays twice. After a period of approximately 7 years, the time it takes to recoup the renovation costs, the property is then given back to the absent owner. By this time, the property has gained seven times capital growth, and the owner and the property is in a good state of repair. For the absent owner, this is a win-win situation. In my view, the government is saying well done for doing nothing to absent owners. A more common sense approach would save me, the taxpayer, and the local authorities a whole lot of money. In my opinion, legislation should be written so that when a property is brought to the attention of the local authority should be permitted to take over and renovate that property, and then put in a suitable tenant who will pay rent. However, the property owner should not be given back the property when the renovation money is recouped. Instead, local authorities should be given the power to have property valued in its pre-renovation state. After renovation, the property will have grown in value. If the local authority agrees to sell to the tenant who is capable of paying the rent without taking funds out of the benefit system, and given the option to buy the property at 10% above the pre-renovation cost plus the renovation costs, the local authority will recoup their initial investment plus 10% to cover any out-of-pocket expenses. The tenant uses the rent to grow their deposit each month, as they pay back the local authorities' out-of-pocket expenses. At the end of 3 years, not 7, the tenant has the opportunity to buy, having paid back renovation costs and in effect built their own deposit. This means that people can get onto the property market without borrowing from the banks for a set period of time, build up their credit rating if they need to, and pay off any debt if they need to. And the absent homeowner is not rewarded for their behaviour. A win-win situation for both the local authority and prospective buyers. Finally, the banks will learn to realise that they need to work towards their customers' benefit along with their projected profit margins. My name is Julie George and Rent to Buy UK is my website. I know this works. I spent 22 months doing this to prove that it would work. I am the first woman in the UK to do this, and if you want to do this and change your future, please go to my website, download the information, and the rest is up to you. Send me any comments, good or bad, I welcome. Stay well, till next time.